How's it going, Astrid?
Good, how are you?
I am fantastic. Having a great day. Having a
That's
great
good.
day. Feels good. Feels good. Everything's enjoyable for you? Everything's going
Yes,
well?
yeah, it's been some nice weather, which has been really nice. So,
Nice. Always gotta love that. It's always enjoyable when the sun's shining.
for sure, for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're connecting today to talk a little bit about some comfort and your musical journey here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. So are you ready to jump into it? Do you have any questions? Do you need a moment or anything?
I'm all good to go.
Okay, okay, awesome. So, of course, I want to talk a little bit of the road that leads you up to this new single, this new album as well. And that starts with your first singles, your first EP, and of course, the decision to pursue music. So, of course, I find that you're a multi instrumentalist. You've been working at this for a while. But at what moment, what was the thing that made you actually decide that you wanted to pursue music?
I definitely think it's just always been something that I've been super, super drawn to, and that it's just always been the thing that I thought I was going to be doing with my life. I've been singing since I was 3, so it just felt like that was what I was meant to do. And then my brother's also a musician, and my older brother, so listening to him play guitar and being around that influence of him being a musician, I think really influenced me to do it. And then when I was around 13 or 14, I moved to Toronto. I started going to Rosedale Heights School of the Arts. So then it really became like everything I did was music and with arts. And so then I just was like, this is what I want to do with my life. And so I started writing and then working with my brother and working with different producers to start writing and putting music out there.
Okay, okay. So at what point did you actually begin crafting these singles? Because you start releasing in October of 2019. So when do you actually begin? Because I saw that you were playing in coffee houses and otherwise beforehand. So
Yeah, so my first single, Love It All, I actually wrote when I was just 12 years old, and then I released it when I was
what?
16. Yeah, so I've been, a lot of those songs, even Comfort is I think I wrote it like 6 or 7 months ago. So most songs I usually are quite delayed to being released, if that makes sense. So another song, Broken Goodbyes, I wrote when I was in grade 10, and then I didn't release it till after I graduated high school. So it takes a lot of time for me to write a song and then kind of edit it and then get it to my producer. And then once we have it all done, then we have to, discuss release schedule, when we're going to release it and how we're going to release it. So it's not as simple as just always just writing the song and then putting it out there.
Okay, so it definitely sounds like the business side of the music industry is something that you put a lot of thought into before going into. So is that something that seeing your brother go into this world and learn that you immediately knew that I need to know what my brand is, I need to have my sound built, or was it just from watching other musicians that inspire you?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a combination of seeing the way my brother was navigating the music industry, as we're both on very opposite ends of what our style is. He does a lot more kind of instrumental with nature sounds, while I'm a lot more into pop. So we're kind of on opposite ends. So while we're both in the music industry, we both have pretty different experiences with it. But it definitely probably came a lot more from me just watching other musicians that I grew up with that I really liked, as well as my dad's kind of also my manager, so working with him a lot and him kind of training me, as he's done some different things in the music industry, and he's worked with some really cool people. So he would give me insights on, he's like, well, who do you want to be? Like, what do you want the outside world to know? Like, when they think of Astrid Tanton, what do you want them to think of? So it's definitely trying to balance, what I put out to the media with being true to myself, and remembering that as well as I am kind of a product in the media, as I am also still a human being, and I want people to see that I'm just an 18-year-old girl who likes to sing and play guitar, keep it more low-key.
Okay, okay. So as someone who comes from the DIY background and otherwise, I also see that you self-produce, you self release your music and everything else. Definitely very much wanting to be in control of this venture as well, not just your image, but also the media that is coming out of it. So what the decision to have that control? Was that also coming from your dad as a manager, sort of like helping you navigate those waters, or is that just sort of watching the music industry over the last few years and watching some artists begin to take control of their own path?
I think it was a bit of both. I think one of the first things my dad and I really talked about is that I really want to be seen as a strong, young, independent woman. I think that was a really important message that I wanted to send out to my fans, especially because I do have a large part of my fan base is young girls, and I really want to convey to them that you can do what you want if you put the effort in and you work at it. You have to be the driving force. And so, my dad's always given me advice and told me what he thinks, but he always says, at the end of the day, you make the decision. I can't make you do anything. This is your career. So being an independent artist and an independent female artist was definitely a hard decision to make, because there's a lot of, if you sign with a record label or if you get contracted with someone, sometimes it makes it seem like it'll be easier. But I just decided that I think I heard the story of what happened with Taylor Swift and how she had all her music signed away from her. And I realized that she's a really powerful woman in the music industry. And she even got her music taken out from under her feet. And so I thought that from the beginning of my career, I want to make a very strong standpoint that I will always be the number one person in control, because this is my music and my brand.
Okay, awesome. So Taylor Swift, definitely a big influence then. Who else has sort of gone into influencing a young 18-year-old Astrid Tanton up until this point?
Probably Jessie Reyez. She's a fellow Canadian artist. I love her brand. I think she's so cool, and I think she just has this energy that's just like, I'm here and I'm present, and like take me or leave me, which is something I really look up to. I really like Alessia Cara. A lot of her music has really strong messages, and she's always gonna give you a show that's not about just entertaining you. It's about giving you something to think about, which I think is really important. Who else? I really like, it's a lot of Canadian artists. I really like Shawn Mendes too. I think he has a really cool vibe, and I love how he keeps everything so grounded with his guitar. So I would say those are probably the three or four, including Taylor Swift, that are my biggest influences in how I write and how I try and be as an artist.
Mm-hmm. And all definitely very strong personalities and people who are very strong with their message as well.
For sure.
Awesome. So let's dive into some of the tracks, some of those singles. So you mentioned your first song, Love It All, which definitely is a homage to your hometown. You're now in Toronto, so was that part of what influenced this, is just thinking back? Are you a very retrospective person?
Yeah, so I wrote the song when I was 12 years old, which was right when because I skipped a grade, so I graduated grade 8 a year early, which meant I was going into high school when I was 12 years old. And that was also when I applied to Roseville Heights School of the Arts, and I got in, which meant I was moving from my small town to the big city, which felt really weird because I had been so connected to this small town, obviously. And I think Love It All came from that place of me being so excited that I was going to get to go to a school with all these other kids that were like me. But it meant I had to leave behind, not like I had to move on. I had to grow and I had to move on. And Love It All came from that place of just wanting to stay in that kind of that bubble of comfort and like love, and this place that had all these little memories. And it was such like a freeing space. Everyone loves to leave the city and go to a quiet town or a quiet cottage and just take a few days kind of disconnected from the world. And I still relate to that feeling today. And I think that's where Love It All stemmed from.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I'm also sort of from that small town area, so I definitely understand the need to break free and sort of go back to the roots and feel the air, feel the wind, and just relax and be like, oh, the world doesn't have to be so hectic. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
The music video for that song also took you back to your hometown, sort of showing it off. So what was it like to sort of be able to bring your young fans into your world, show them your background?
Yeah, it was definitely a weird experience filming there. Like I still have my cottage there, so I still go up there all the time to relax, but it's a small town. Everyone knows everyone. And so, cars would drive by when we're filming outside and they would stop and look, and it's people I know. And it was a weird feeling to see people I know looking at me in a different way, because it also made me look at myself in a different way, that as much as I'm a musician and I'm a person in the media, I still look at myself in the mirror and I just see an 18-year-old girl who goes to school and likes to play her guitar and piano. So it was one of the first moments where I looked and I thought, this is how people see me now. Like, this is, like, perspective is changing around me. And it was definitely super fun to get to go and film that video there, because I find myself watching that video once a month or something just to kind of like reminisce on especially summer now that it's getting colder. But it's just nice to look back and see the contrast and see, where you started and where you are now.
Hello, are you awake? I've got some things to say. Never mind, I'll just go to bed, left unread. At least I get the comfort of knowing you saw it. Maybe I deserve better, I should go for better. But you are just so comforting to me, left unread. At least I get the comfort, at least I get the comfort. Bright screens dull my eyes, hope you'll call tonight. I know you won't, I'm on my own. You'll text me at 1, then call me at 2. I'll be ready by 3, then over by 4. Maybe I deserve better, I should go for better. But you are just so comforting to me, left unread. At least I get the comfort, at least I get the comfort, at least I get the comfort. Tight screens don't dull my eyes, please don't call tonight. I hope you won't, better on my own. You'll text me at 1, I'll decline your call at 2, won't be ready by 3, then over by 4. I gotta let you go, it's time to let you go. I can't answer the phone. I gotta let you go, it's time to let you go. I can't answer the phone. Bright screens don't dull my eyes, please don't call tonight. I hope you won't, better on my own. You'll text me at 1, I'll decline your call at 2, won't be ready by 3, then over by 4.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
Absolutely. So let's talk about something more current. Let's talk about Comfort, which you said was written about 7-8 months ago or so. With some of the other tracks you said they were written a little bit longer ago, a little bit more in your youth. So this song definitely a lot more current.
Yes.
Yeah. So what Comfort definitely sort of kind of feels like navigating the current dating scene of our world. Am I getting that vibe right? Where's Comfort come from?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, Comfort came, I think, from, I always write from personal experience and personal story, but also from those who are close to me's personal experience and personal story. So I'm a very empathetic person, so if someone feels something, I will always feel it with them. If you start crying, I will definitely start crying. And so whenever my friends or anyone close to me would be going through something, especially in the dating scene, as my girlfriends and I always we'll talk about, partners and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of came to me as a song that I felt needed to be put out almost as an anthem of saying, you don't have to wait for someone. If they're just going to call you up whenever they want to and you're just left kind of sitting by your phone all day, that's not worth it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people out there, I can't tell you when you'll meet them, but there are people out there who will be there for you the same way you're there for them.
Absolutely, and it's that idea of somebody can't let you know that they want to be with you and to be around with you. Is that the energy that you want and you need?
Exactly.
I love it. So also, I want to dive into the music video for Comfort, which was shot obviously under the restrictions of social distancing and those fun things that we've all been dealing with.
Of course, yeah.
So what was it like to shoot the video for this? Definitely sort of on your phone, sort of like dealing in your own room. Was this shot in your apartment? What was the background?
Yeah. So this was actually shot in my apartment with a couple close friends. I have a friend, Jan. He's an amazing videographer. And I went to high school with him, and I said, look, I need to get a music video done, but I obviously can't have a full crew in my apartment. Like, we have to work around this. And so it was him and a couple of my other close friends that I had been seeing. That way we weren't getting any bigger bubbles or having any people come from outside of other bubbles. And it was just a lot of we basically redesigned my apartment. We were moving couches everywhere and putting lights up and, kind of doing a makeshift video, because that's kind of what's happening in the music industry right now, right? Like, everything's changing in our world, and you have to be willing to adapt with it, or else it's not going to work. So definitely, as I'm moving forward, I also shot a little dance clip for Comfort, and we filmed it outside. We had to work with different spaces and different lighting, but you just find ways to make it work. If it's going to work, you're going to make it work, kind of thing.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the minute-long dance clip that you did. Very much loving the moves, but I don't think I personally am smooth enough to pull them off without a little bit of training. So do you have experience in dance?
Yeah, so I actually, at Rosedale High School of the Arts, I was a double major in musical theater and vocal with a minor in dance. So I took dance for 4 years there, as well as after I graduated, before COVID and everything, I'd been taking classes at the Underground just because I really loved to dance, and it was a fun way for me to feel fit. And my dad mentioned, once you start doing bigger shows, you're going to have to dance. So for your benefit, you might want to learn how to dance a bit. And so then I met this choreographer, Leanne Tammy, who works at the Underground, and me and her just started working together, and she has a couple private dance companies that are really great, and we just kind of grew into this partnership where she could use me to let her dancers learn how to work with an artist, while I got to work with dancers and learn how to work with dancers in a stage setting. So it worked out really well.
Okay, so these are people that you sort of had already had some experience with, a little bit of background with, some chemistry.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what has the feedback not only been like for the song, but also for this dance?
It's been really great. I work part-time at Adrenaline Tattoos and Piercing. It's on Queen Street West. I don't tattoo or pierce. I just kind of work on the floor and help people out. But the day after I released the song, I had to go into work, and I came in, the song's blaring, my coworkers are trying to do the dance. So it's been really nice to see all the support from people, and I've had lots of, just random people message me saying they love the dance, or that they're trying to learn the dance, or they really love the song. So it's been really nice to get that feedback and support, especially because, no one has to message me. So it's nice for them to take the time out of their day just to send a encouraging message.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe they'll help kick off the next TikTok trend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So you mentioned having to navigate these sort of new waters of COVID and everything else. So how has COVID affected the release of Comfort and your upcoming album?
Yeah. So originally I was supposed to have my entire album out last May.
Wow.
Yeah, it was supposed to be done. I was supposed to, I have a partnership with the Rec Room and Cineplex, and I was supposed to be touring at all the rec rooms across Canada performing. Now, of course, that did not end up happening. So we had to kind of shift our gears, and we took the first 3-4 months of COVID when it was really, everything was really locked down, to just figure out how long is this going to go on? What is this meaning for other artists? And we kind of watched how other artists were navigating it, what they were doing. I did some different live stream shows, just some small things to keep people interested. And then eventually we kind of said, you need to get music out. It's almost hitting a year since you've last released anything. And, this COVID thing isn't going away anytime soon. So we can't just wait for it. We have to be ahead of the game now. So then we started kind of designing this plan that we're going to release music digitally and do lots of music videos and social distancing dances and different things like that can all be done virtually, so that when restrictions lift and you can start doing live shows, we'll already have all the songs out and it'll be just like a concert, and hopefully you'll build a following so that there'll be more people interested in going to the concert. And then along the way, we're hoping that we can road test a couple smaller shows, maybe like at some cafes or do some after hours kind of thing. So it's a lot of kind of testing and looking at different options and different ways to get people interested in going out while not violating any, rules, and keeping everyone safe.
Absolutely. Definitely a hard time to sort of navigate. And as things start to open up, you definitely want to take your time figuring things out and making sure that you're hitting the audience properly.
For sure.
Okay, awesome. So, like we've also mentioned with the release of the upcoming album, you said that there's more music videos, possibly more dances. So what does the rest of 2020, 2021 possibly hold for Astrid Tanton?
A lot of work, definitely a lot of work first and foremost, but a lot of new music coming out, hopefully some live shows. Like I said, we would love to do some shows across Canada, like a small tour or something, but we really have to wait and see what's happening with COVID-19 and everything. But I am hoping, I have another song coming out November 25th, which is the next part of the album drop. So we are working and keeping music coming out. We're trying to have music come out every 3 to 4 weeks. And then once all the songs are out, it'll be the collective album, and then that will be released as like a concert. And that's what we're hoping for, so that by June, beginning of next year's summer, that we'll be able to do a live show with dancers, and I'll be working with my choreographer. So right now, it's definitely just a lot of digital media, kind of stuff like this, and just keeping this to keep people interested and to keep people reminded that just because the world's changing doesn't mean we have to stop doing what we love to do.
Absolutely. So you've mentioned working with choreographers, the need to learn dancing. So you're definitely working on your stage show as well then.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, so at what point do you feel you're at with that? Are you very comfortable? Do you feel there's quite a bit of work to go in between now and then to get the ability to dance and sing? Because everyone makes it look so easy, but the amount of work that has to go into it.
Yeah, for sure. So I think I definitely do have a leg up because I have a musical theater background. I did lots of summer camps, and then going to high school, I did musical theater. So I have a bit of an understanding of how to sing and move at the same time. It's still never easy. I think it's still always quite a battle for breath. But I definitely feel that I'm pretty comfortable on a stage. I'm someone who gets pretty jittery right before I go on, and then I get on stage and I click and I just see people and I feed off of that energy. I'm always someone who feeds off of the energy that's around me. So while backstage I may be looking like I might faint, the minute I go on stage I feel alive, and I feel like that's where I'm meant to be. I really like to connect with people and not even just take them in as an audience, but say, this is also your show. Whatever you guys want, I'm going to vibe with you. So you don't have to think that you're just sitting and watching. I love to get people to come up on stage. I love to have people actually interact with me. I think it makes it so much more fun for everyone.
And then especially with younger fans, you never know exactly what sort of memories you're creating, possible inspirations you're giving.
For sure, yeah.
Awesome. So, as someone who definitely seems very retrospective, I definitely have to ask. So, we've asked about how you've grown as a musician, learning the business, growing as an artist, but I want to know, how do you feel that you've grown as a human being, having had to move to Toronto, having released this music, having to navigate these worlds? How do you think that it has helped Astrid Tanton grow as a spiritual being?
Yeah, so growing up, I definitely was someone who searched for a lot of approval. I always wanted to be doing good. I was always someone who, if I got anything less than a certain grade, I would probably cry. This did follow me into high school. I was always like stressed about doing something to the very best of my ability, and I did not want anyone to see anything unless I felt like it was the best I could possibly give. And I wasn't doing that for me, as I felt like I had to do it to prove myself to other people. And I think entering the music industry, I had to get a bit more of a backbone, and I had to be able to stand up and say, no, I think I'm good enough. And especially I think as any young person or a teen, I think there's a lot of self-doubt, whether you're in the music industry or not, and wondering if you're good enough for what you want to do, especially being in the arts. It's a bit of a competitive place to be. So it was I definitely have learned a lot more how to have a backbone and not be afraid to stand up for myself without being cocky or egotistical. You know, I think it's really important to have confidence without boasting about yourself, you know, because I can say I'm really proud of Comfort, but I can also say that in a couple of years, I'll probably be able to listen to that song and say, I could have made this better. I could have made this better. But, you know, no one's perfect. And I think that's what makes humans so beautiful, is the fact that we're not perfect, is that we're human, you know? People always say, oh, you're human, you're doing your best, and that should be good enough. And I really think that's an important message for young people to understand. And I think as social media becomes more and more prominent, people think like, oh, there are 16-year-olds with millions of followers. Why I'm not one of them? Why don't I have that talent? And I think people have to just remember that, you know, everyone has their own path. And if you're constantly focused on where you're not, like where what you still have to get done, then you're never going to enjoy life. And so something I've also been focusing on is taking the time to be like, hey, like, I'm proud of you today. You did a lot. You got your schoolwork done. You did an interview. You got out of bed. Like, good for you. You deserve to watch an episode of some bad TV show. Like, it's about, you know, like, not always being hard on yourself and not always being focused on what you need to do better, but also being focused on, like, what you did good today. Mm-hmm. So I try to journal and do different things like that.
Absolutely. It's you definitely have to not beat yourself up in these sorts of situations, because, like you said, you could be in the middle of something that's very important, very big moments of your life, but you could be looking at somebody else's version of life and, oh, but, like, I'm at X, but why am I not at Z? Like, I could be perfectly appreciating X. X is beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, Astrid, I want to take a moment to thank you so very much for taking the time to join us here today to tell us about your musical journey, this latest single, Comfort, and your upcoming album, From My Eyes.
Thank you so much.
Gray sky, sea day, summer heat waves, blue grassy beach, a warm fire heat. Silver ice sheets, pure golden sky, staying up late under the stars. We're growing old, hot metal cold. I want my home, I'll miss it all. Those creaky stairs, old music blares, big willow tree, pine to be free. I would trade my life, give it all, just to go back home to the starstruck snowfall, the staircase picture frame, the blue and yellow painted, and those flickering lights on stormy days, the half-car driveway, the dock at the bottom by the lake, old records playing trade my life, give it all just to go back home to the starstruck snowfall, the staircase picture frame, the blue and yellow painted, and those flickering lights on stormy days, the half-car driveway, the dock at the bottom by the lake, old records playing, and oh my God, I love it all.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
Ambush. Thank you for checking out this Desert Tiger video interview featuring Astrid Tanton. I hope you enjoyed it enough that you're going to go and find the Spotify link to Astrid's music down below so that you can check it out. So you can hit follow, and so when she drops her new EP, From My Eyes, you're going to have it in your ears. ASAP. Down below, you can also subscribe to the Colton G Desert Tiger YouTube page. I definitely suggest that you do, because we're going to be dropping more video interviews. We're going to be reviving our vlog, and you can also find all of our audio interviews down below as well. You can also give this video a like, which would help us out a lot. And you can also head on over to deserttigermerch.com to copy yourself something to represent the show, because that also helps us out a ton, and we would love you for doing so. You're also going to look super good in it too. I mean, that's always a benefit, right? Okay, so we're about to close this, but there's one more thing we need to do, and those of you who have been with us for a while know exactly what it is. I want you to go out and find your mountain, to find your oasis, whatever it is that makes your heart sing, scream to its fullest passion, glory, and capacity. You find that thing, you craft that thing, you grow with that thing, and when your roar is almighty, you let it out across that canyon, across that waterfront, and you let the world know just what beauty you're capable of creating. Just how beautiful you are. All right, Ambush. Until next time, bye-bye.